Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a quick video here to help out those folks who are working on learning to read alto clef for viola. Hopefully this will be helpful whether you are just starting out learning to read music in general or whether you are a violinist who is making the switch over to alto clef for viola. But this video will hopefully give you some helpful tools here. So to start out, we've got our collection of lines and spaces here, 5 lines, 4 spaces that we call our musical staff. Each of these lines and spaces represents a note or a pitch that corresponds to a note on our instruments. So to start out, to be able to know what these stand for, what each of these lines and spaces stand for, we have this helpful tool here called a clef, or alto clef. This little symbol here, this arrow, it points to middle C, or C4. When we have our pitches, because our musical alphabet goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then starts back over at A, we need some kind of way to distinguish between an A on down low and an A up high. So part of how we do that is we number them based on the octaves of the piano. So the very bottom A on the piano is A1, the next one is A2, A3, A4, A5, so on and so forth. So for reference, our middle C on the piano is C4. That appears on our viola, on our G string. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. But our low C string, our lowest open string, is C3, which is down here. That's 8 notes up, or 8 notes down from C4 that we see here as our middle line. So we've got our open C string, and then we have G3 as our open G string, our next open string. Next, we've got D4, which if you remember I said middle C is C4, so D4 would be the space right above C4, right here. Here's our open D string. And now we need our A string, which is A5. So we'd go up here, 5 notes to A5 here. So we've got C, G, D, and A here as our open strings. I'm going to go ahead and give those some note names here for reference. Okay, now if you see here, we've got, if we count our lines and our spaces that are between these open strings, we've got 1, 2, 3 different notes here in between C and G. If we count our musical alphabet, we've got C, we've got D, E, F before G. So we've got 3 lines and 3 letters that we got to cover in here. How do we access those? We can play those notes by adding fingers to our open strings to shorten the length of the string and raise the pitch just a little bit. So oftentimes those will have finger tapes on our violins to kind of show us where those specific spots are to create notes that are in tune, but I can make another video talking about that. First I want to show you here, we're going to make a little guide for each open string. So we have our C string here, we're going to start with C, and then we've got D on the line above, E here, and F on our C string. So if we look here, this little extra line here, this is a ledger line, because we wouldn't want to be limited to just 9 notes here. We would want to be able to access more than that on our instrument. We've got lots of range here on our violas. So the ledger lines down here help us. They still count as one note per space or line here. So we've got C, D, E, F, and now if we look, this next space, that's the same as our open G right here. So now we're on the G string, G, and now we're gonna A, B, and C with our 3rd finger. So open 1, 2, 3, open 1, 2, 3. Then if we look, our next space here, that is our open D string. So now we've arrived at D. If we add our 1st finger, that's E. 2nd finger in close is F. Then we have G with our 3rd finger. And again, that now brings us to open A. So we've got our open A here. Add a finger for B. Add a finger for C. And then our third finger here plays D. And I'm not going to include our fourth finger, even though we use that. We'll get to that in another video here. So these are all of the notes on our staff that we can access with our open strings, first, second, and third fingers in first position on our viola. So that's a really good start for reading music here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the note names here so that we can see all of the note names. And then we're also going to add the fingerings in here. So for an open string, we're going to use a 0 because we have 0 fingers on the string, right? So we've got 0, D is 1, E is with our second finger, F is played by our third finger on the C string. We move over to the open G string, that's going to be an open. We've got A with 1, B with 2, C with 3. Over to the D string, which is open. We add our first finger for E, second finger for F, third finger for G, then A. We're on our open string again. Now we have 1 for B, 2 for C, and 3 for D here. So again, this is all of the notes we can access in first position on our viola with our open strings, first, second, and third fingers here. And then here are our landmark notes that we want to recognize for our open strings especially. Everything else can kind of be counted in between, but if you know where your open strings are, you can find anything. So I hope this has been kind of a helpful guide. For those of you watching the video who are violinists, who are making the transition to viola, for reference, this G, D, and A, these are the exact same pitches that we have on our 3 lower open strings on violins. So violins have G, D, A, and then a high E. This G, D, and A are the same G, D, and A that we have on our violin. So those can kind of be translated in your brain for these 3 strings between what you might know on treble clef and what you can see here on alto clef for the same pitches. I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any other specific questions or anything that you want me to cover, let me know. But otherwise, this should be a good start for getting going on the alto clef for viola. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.